Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Thursday, April 14th, 2022. Stand up for your country. It is Holy Thursday, but I submit to you that many, maybe even most Americans don't care that it is Holy Week, that Passover is on Saturday, that Easter is on Sunday. They don't care. In fact, 30% of Americans now have no religion at all. They don't even think about it. That is an all-time high, 30%. Pretty interesting stat. Now, as you may know, I wrote a book called Killing Jesus, mammoth worldwide bestseller. I have copies of Killing Jesus in Korean, in Croatian. Almost every nation on earth had exposure to this book. It is a history book. If you see the little words down there, it says, Killing Jesus, a History. No religion in the book at all. I am not qualified to write a book on theology. What I am qualified to do is research and tell you what I found out. And the story is simply amazing. I hate to use that word because it's a cliche now, but there's one fact that overrides everything. A poor man from a poor family who was a stone cutter, not a carpenter, I'll explain it in a moment, okay, becomes the most famous person who has ever existed. How does that happen? I will tell you how it happens. Now, this Talking Points memo is designed for people who do not believe in any religion, all right? I want you to listen to me if you would just indulge me. All right, there's no religion in this Talking Points memo, so let's begin. First of all, the facts, the contemporary facts. All right, according to Pew Research and the United Nations, Christianity is the leading religion in the world. 31% of everyone on earth believes in Jesus as God. 2.4 billion people. Second, Islam. 25%, 1.9 people. Third, no religion at all. 15% worldwide. In the USA, it's 30%, as I just said. All right. Hinduism, 14% worldwide, 1 billion people. Judaism, 14 million people worldwide. That is less than 1%. Now, as far as countries are concerned, the most Christian country on earth is Greece, followed by Romania, Grenada, island in the Caribbean, Haiti, Poland. As far as numbers of Christians, the USA leads the league on this planet, 250 million. Brazil second, 180 million. Mexico third. Russia fourth. They're Orthodox Christians in Russia. Philippines fifth. Okay. Now, my family has been Roman Catholic for centuries. All right. We came from County Cavan in Ireland, and on my mother's side, Northern Ireland. And ever since St. Patrick converted everybody in Ireland to Catholicism, we've been Catholic. But many in my family have drifted away and reject the Catholic religion and Christianity in general. And that's pretty interesting to me because I'm a traditional guy. I have not drifted. I go to Mass. Sometimes I get a little miffed that the priests don't put anything into the sermon. Catholic Church obviously has many, many problems. I was the driver of getting Cardinal Law in Boston, very powerful cleric, out of the United States. He had to go to Rome where he died a few years ago. He was a horrendous man. So I don't look blindly at my church. But there's a difference between the Catholic Church and Christianity. So let's focus on Christianity. Jesus lived in Nazareth. Town is still there. Little town, backwater. Back then, more than 2,000 years ago, nobody really paid attention to Nazareth. He was raised in a very humble family. All right. His father, Joseph, was a stone cutter. Now, I was taught in Catholic school that Jesus was a carpenter. Well, that would have been impossible because there were very few trees in Judea. They didn't have any wood. All right. In fact, the cross that Jesus was executed on, nailed to, was used many times before and after his death, because the Romans didn't have wood to make crosses every time they executed somebody. Interesting, right? So people lived in stone dwellings small, and Joseph was a stone cutter. He passed the labor down to Jesus. Okay. Now, at about age 30, Jesus abandoned his craft and began to preach. Now, you have to understand the times. Being a Messiah was an industry in what is now Israel. All right? It was an industry. There were 300 Messiahs running around telling everybody they were the chosen one, they were God. Why? Because people gave them food and alms and shelter, and it was a job. Now, the most powerful preacher was John the Baptist, who was beheaded by the Jewish authorities, okay, because he was too powerful. And he attacked Herod for marrying his brother's wife. And that was the end of John the Baptist. Before the Baptist was incarcerated and then subsequently executed, he introduced his followers to Jesus. All right, and they didn't know anything about Jesus, because Jesus was a guy who was preaching, but he didn't have large people following him. He was like the other 300 messiahs. They had a few people who would listen, but most people had to work from sun up to sundown just to eat. They didn't have time to be listening to people running around, okay? So Jesus then took on a mission, and he went from town to town to town in a very small area. He never went out of Judea, okay? And in the beginning, not many people listened. And then a few more started to listen. And then maybe 100 or 200 started to listen. At that point, the temple authorities in Jerusalem started to pay attention, okay? He was on their radar screen because he was a cousin of John the Baptist, Jesus, all right? So they sent spies to follow Jesus around. Those spies wrote down what Jesus said and what happened. And they sent those written records back to the temple in Jerusalem, and they were recorded. Why? Because the temple authorities wanted to execute Jesus. He was a threat to them. At the same time, the crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, said, "What the deuce is going on?" Now, Pilate didn't care about the Jews or what they did. He was there for one purpose only, to keep the peace and grab as much tax money as he could to send it back to Augustus Caesar in Rome. That was his only job. But he didn't want any insurrection. He didn't want riots. He didn't want anyone causing trouble. So Pilate decided to send spies to follow Jesus as well. Now you have two threads of spies that are keeping an eye on the Nazarene. I didn't use the word Christ, which means Redeemer, once in killing Jesus, because that's a religious connotation. Okay, so now Jesus is walking around and he's doing his speaking, and he was a fabulous speaker by all accounts, but nobody could hear him. He didn't have a microphone. So you see all these movies where Jesus is standing on the mountain and there are thousands of people there. They couldn't hear him. They could see him because he usually was in an elevated position, and he went out on the Sea of Galilee in a boat to preach, but people couldn't hear him. Now, his disciples, his followers, they spread the word about what he was saying, but people couldn't really hear Jesus themselves. However, they still kept coming, and the spies' dispatches kept going back to the temple and to Pilate. Those dispatches, summations of them, is where we got our information for killing Jesus. You see? Now, in those dispatches were mentions of miracles, that Jesus was curing leprosy and epilepsy and all kinds of other things. But there weren't any documented doctors, physicians, or any of that to attest to any of the healings. Well, we didn't put them in killing Jesus. We knew that they were being mentioned, that Pilate heard about them, and that the Sanhedrin, those are the Jewish authorities, heard about them, but they weren't verified. However, and this is the key to the talking points memo today, why would thousands of people show up to see a preacher if they couldn't hear him and it was just about verbiage? Why? There had to be something else. Had to be. And that was the healings, the alleged healings. That everybody, the word got out. And the people who were healed, some of them went around and said, hey, you ought to check this guy out. That's what drove the fame of the Nazarene. There were no newspapers, no media, none of that. It was all what they call today organic. So use your mind, even if you're an atheist. Okay, use your logic. It would be none of these other 300 messiahs got anybody to follow him around. The Baptist was the most popular, and he had scores of people, not thousands. Okay? And remember, at the time, if you didn't work, you didn't eat. So it was a commitment to go and listen to somebody who was speaking the word. Now, Jesus did speak the word. He did give homilies, sermons, and they were written down by scribes, and that's what showed up in the New Testament. Okay? His words. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the key to him. And love God. All right? And he's God's son who came down. I mean, we don't know where heaven is, but who showed up on earth to spread this new doctrine. Okay. So now I know that in my industry, the media industry, most people who work in the industry are, do I want to use the word pagans? I don't know what I want. But they look down on me because I am a believer. I know it. I've always known it. They're just snarky and smug, and they know better. And you've seen them, all around. Hollywood, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay? They revel in their disbelief. Instead of being humble about it and say, maybe I'm wrong. It could certainly, if you look at the human body, I gave you that talking points a few months ago about my eye and the intricacies of it. I was just underwater last week. If you look at the nature underwater and how, this is all, it came from a meteorite? But let's get back to Jesus. So Jesus of Nazareth, who had nothing at all, nothing, becomes the most famous person who ever lived on the planet. You think that was just happenstance? Really? Do you? Do you think that thousands of people showed up 2,000 years ago to follow this man? And then when he went into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, there was almost a riot, a good riot. People wanted to touch him and get close to him. That's when his fate was sealed. Because when the Jewish authorities in the Sanhedrin saw that, they wanted him dead. Now, the people who were doing that, who were praising Jesus, were Jews. They were Jews. So this anti-Semitic, ridiculous thing about the Jews killing Jesus, that's never been close historically. Okay? It was the evil people who ran the temple. And then Pilate gave in to them. Pilate didn't want any of this because he feared. It wasn't that Pilate was a good guy. He feared if Romans crucified Jesus, and only Romans could crucify. No one else on the planet under the thumb of Rome could crucify. Only them. He feared if he crucified Jesus, there would be a rebellion. So that's why he didn't want to do it. But finally he was forced to do it. And Jesus was not crucified at 3 p.m. He was crucified before daybreak because Pilate didn't want anybody to see it. Now, all of this is in killing Jesus. But you should know that the historical thread came from the spies and what they reported back to the Jewish authorities and the Roman authorities. This was the most fascinating project that I ever was involved in, killing Jesus. Second is killing the killers, and I'll tell you more about that as we get closer to release date. But this, I mean, I am a Christian, but I suspended my theology to write this book. And what we came across was like, whoa. And what I told you is true. So in Holy Week, I wanted to reiterate that. If you find the talking points worthy, please tell your friends. We will post it individually on BillO'Reilly.com throughout the whole weekend, the Easter weekend. And I just wanted to tell you that. The war in Europe is a kind of chaos where foreign identity thieves love to target American homeowners. The crime is home title theft. It is exploding in the USA, and no, you are not covered by homeowners insurance or common ID theft services. The problem is the title to all of our homes kept online. An identity thief knows his big payday is as easy as forging your signature stating you sold your home to him. Now he'll take out a loan and another loan against your home, and you won't even know it until the collection calls start or you get an eviction notice. So how do you protect your home from title theft? Register your address at HomeTitleLock.com to see if you are a victim already. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com. All right, let's get back to politics and America. So Joe Biden goes to North Carolina to give a speech about rebuilding supply chains, laying a foundation for economic renewal, blah, 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 blah. But it's not going to happen because he has pretty much destroyed the economy, Biden has, by inflation. And we've gone over and over and over that. It's indisputable. They're not two sides to the story. It's not the Putin price rise. That's all BS. It's Biden's incompetence, just like Jimmy Carter. Now, supply chains, they're still screwed up, and many, many reasons why. Okay, that's not Biden's fault per se, but there were no supply chain problems, or very few, under Trump. Let's keep that in mind. So Biden's economic fuzziness or craziness, whatever you want to say, means that it's harder to get products into the United States and then load them on the trucks to get them to market. That's what it is. In Texas now, the governor, Greg Abbott, has ordered his authorities to stop all trucks from Mexico and go over them. He says there's too much human smuggling, too many drugs. The federal government's not doing it. We're going to do it. Well, it sounds good, but it's a little problematic. So the trucks are backed up to Belize because they can't get through the Mexican checkpoints and the Texas checkpoints. And who's going to suffer? Texans are going to suffer because the price of fruit and vegetables from Mexico, whoom! And other Americans too, but mostly Texans. So that's what's going on down there. And, you know, look, we all know what's going to happen in November because inflation's not going to subside by then. Okay. So I wrote a message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com. I do that every day. If you're not a premium member or concierge member, you can read it free. All right, today was, what if Hunter Biden shows up for Easter dinner in Rehoboth, Delaware? What happens? So Hunter Biden lives in Malibu, California, maybe the most expensive neighborhood in the world. Maybe, okay? Hunter gonna zip across Delaware to see his father? I don't know. But if he shows up, that might be an interesting conversation because he's this close, Hunter is, of getting indicted on federal charges, okay? Might not happen, but remember, it is in the hands of the grand jury. Politics is out of it now. So anyway, I thought I'd bring that to your attention. Job approval, look, I don't want to gloat, but I did tell you before the election that if Joe Biden were elected, it would be a disaster for you, for every American, and it is. So Quinnipiac, that poll is not most reliable. Democrat 28, Republican 26, Independent 35. Approve of Joe Biden's job performance 35, disapprove 55. A whopping 20% gap. You very rarely see that. All right. CNBC poll. All right. Democrat 34, Republican 35. Approve of Joe Biden, 38. Disapprove, 53. A 15% deficit for the president. So Americans know. They know what's going on because they got to go outside. If you have to go outside and buy anything, you know what's going on. Even the dimmest among us can say, hey, inflation under Donald Trump was 1.2%. 16 months later, it's approaching 10%. That's it. You're talking to your loony friends, your ideological friends, your crazy progressive friends. That's the stat. Not Putin's fault. All right, here's another crazy thing. So the Biden administration has extended the mask mandates, which means that everybody taking a plane, a train, a bus, any public transportation has to wear a mask for 15 days. It was supposed to be out of here April 13th, but now it's going to be out of here maybe May 3rd. All right, so they extended it. The Biden administration, well, the CDC wants it because places like Philadelphia and LA, COVID cases are rising again, so we got to have it. You know, I don't think we need it, but it's not a big deal for me. Here's what is a big deal. So on May 23rd, Title 42 is suspended by order of Joe Biden. No one else. And what is Title 42? It gives U.S. immigration authorities the power to immediately send undocumented immigrants, migrants, whatever you want to call them, back to where they came from, which is mostly Mexico. Boom, back. You stop that, and Biden's going to, you're going to have millions more come up. Why is he stopping it? Doesn't have to. So you're going to extend the mask mandate for all Americans on the public transportation, but you're going to take it off for the illegal aliens. That make any sense to anybody? Now, the most logical reason is the progressive left pounding Biden to do what it wants. And the progressive left wants open borders. Period. You want to come here from anywhere in the world? Come on in. That's what they want. Supply chain issues have been a catalyst in bringing high-tech manufacturing back to the USA. My tech expert and founder of Brownstone Research calls it the Great Recalibration, and he discusses it in his newsletter, Near Future Report. For the past 35 years, he has helped his subscribers safely navigate volatile times, and he also answers your most pressing questions, like how to protect your money from inflation. What are the implications of a new digital currency and the Great Reset? What will the Fed do with interest rates? And what is expected from the stock market in 2022? Brownstone Research has been at the forefront of nearly every major market move for the past 35 years. Let Jeff Brown help you by signing up for his newsletter today at a 75% discount. It's a 12-month subscription for only $49. Please go to jeffbrowntech.com. 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 All right, here is the final thought of the day. There is a new poll out, one poll, okay? It says 63% of Americans say their stress level is at an all-time high. All right, 56% of Americans feel alone. 34% experience an inability to focus. I know a lot of those people. 34% experience physical exhaustion. 64% say they feel like nothing can really help them reduce their stress. Well, I am here for you. We are looking out for you. And I have some stress busters. The first one, be strong. Stop with the victim stuff. We all have stress. I had it last night. I was trying to figure out, why am I stressed out? Last night, I couldn't quite nail it down. But you know what I did? I picked up a book. And then I didn't even think about it. I read the book. Okay, all have stress. Don't be a victim. Fight, fight, fight. Okay? And here are some of the ways you can. So, if you give in to stress by whining and stuff like that, then it gets worse. But then you say to yourself, okay, I need an escape from the stress. So I don't want to take fentanyl because that might kill me. And I'm not going to smoke crack. And I'm not going to drink a quart of gin because that's stupid. What are the positive things? Books. There's got to be subjects that you like. I got books stacked up, and that's what I go to. Music. I'm a big music guy, okay? And I got a lot of artists I like. All you got to do is put on YouTube and you get any music in the world. Music is really, really good. Diverts your attention. And you can read a book and listen to music at the same time. It's a twofer, okay? Third, get in the car. I know gas is higher. Drive to a serene place. Mine, usually ocean. Okay, this time of year up in the Northeast, nobody on the beach, kind of walk on the beach. But you can go a hike. You don't even have to hike. Just get out of the car and sit there and admire some nature. But you're moving, you're going. All right, now if you get there and you're still stressed, all right. But at least you're breathing some fresh air, right? Okay. Then the final thing is the most important thing to both. Do not be a victim. Don't give in, don't give in. All right? Now, Holly, the terror dog, my dog, the Corgi, is a great stress buster. Because I just throw the leash on Holly and take her on out for a vigorous walk and make fun of Holly while I'm walking. And she's looking at me going, what? And it's fun. All right? Fun breaks stress. Fun. I want you all to have a great Easter. All right? We will have a column Easter Sunday at noon. And we will see you again on Monday. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. I am an AMAC member, and you should be too. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful takes on today's news, and a magazine full of uncensored content that you will not find anywhere else. Most importantly, AMAC is working tirelessly to preserve the freedoms enshrined and secured by our Constitution. AMAC has become one of the most impactful organizations in America because more than just talk, AMAC gets things done. They are pushing back against the efforts to defund our police, weaken the borders, and replace your freedom with government control. But they need your help. Stand with me and more than 2 million patriots and join AMAC today at amac.us. That's AMAC.us. amac.us, and tell them O'Reilly sent you.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.